And we are now recording. Welcome everybody to the goal setting and accountability webinar here from Courage Pays Better Than Fear. One of your hosts here, Jeremy Hritz, alongside
Special Eddie,
Edmund Fontana, and very excited to be with you here tonight. And you may be saying, gentlemen, why in the world why should we listen to you about goal setting, about accountability? What gives you any credibility to talk to us about these things? And I think there's a couple of reasons. Is, number one, we both have left behind W-2 jobs to take on the self-employment perspective. Edmund's been in that much longer than I. He's been a mentor to me, and he could speak about that here in a moment. But even prior to that, we both worked in schools as administrators, managing massive schools. My previous position,
massive problems.
Yeah, massive schools, massive problems. Over 1,400 students, over 150 staff members, where you have to set goals. You have to have accountability, not just for the people that you're working with, but more importantly for yourself.
Yeah.
So we're going to get into all of that here tonight. And again, our whole purpose with Courage Pays Better Than Fear is to bring positivity to everyone, but also to help people understand and know that they can make positive changes in their life. They could do whatever it is they want to do. And that's what we want to show people.
Yeah. I mean, we've been at this. I've been, just like Jeremy said, I've been at this a little bit longer than he has, out of the W-2 world. But if I never set those goals to begin with, to, find my why, come up with my reasoning why I wanted to be my own boss, that sort of thing. It just never would have occurred, right? It never would have happened if I didn't set the initial goals. And what we've both gotten good at, and what I've gotten better at over the last 3 years, is setting those goals and doing a better job monitoring them, setting the right goals, and making sure it's not something that is unobtainable. And then making adjustments along the way. Everybody thinks that just because you set a goal in the beginning that you can't make adjustments along the way, and it's just not how it is. So we'll get into all that good stuff here today. And I also, welcome everybody for watching this. If Jeremy, I'm sure, will talk about it at some point, but if you haven't already subscribed to our podcast, Courage Pays Better Than Fear, go ahead and subscribe, talk to your friends, talk to your family about it. We're really just trying to get this going. This isn't, anything. This isn't like a new product or anything. It is really just us trying to spread positivity and help people.
Yeah.
And, we're really kind of building the airplane while it's flying.
Yeah,
right.
We are.
We are. We're just, we're going along and kind of seeing, who we can help along the way and like what adjustments we need to make. And this was a goal that we set for ourselves. We just want to spread positivity and help. So
yep,
here we are.
In 2023, we have our sight set on taking it up a notch, kicking it up a notch. This will be the first of many webinars coming your way in 2023. We also have our first cohort that we're going to be working with. Thank you to all the respondents who have gotten in touch with us. So we're excited about what's on the horizon for the new year, but let's not waste any time. Let's jump in here, and I'm going to share my screen and pull up my slides here. I have to move this out of the way. There we go. And pull up our slides. There we go.
So why yellow? Don't tell me it's because of the Steelers.
No, it's not. So you guys may or may not know, but I am a big Steelers fan. I do a couple Steelers podcasts. It's been a passion of mine for the past couple of years, but no.
You probably just lost a lot of people saying
no,
you're a Steelers fan.
No, that is not why it's yellow. But just for a change, our colors for Courage Pays Better Than Fear are black and white, but just to give a little bit of color to the
I like it,
people.
actually. I do kind of like it.
So accountability. Honestly, this is the key to crushing your goals. You can have the greatest goal set in the world, but without accountability, it's not going to matter. And so tonight we're going to talk to you about what is accountability, how it can change your life, and specifically the two primary types of accountability. There's self-accountability, which is the most important.
It is.
But there's also the peer accountability, which Edmund and I really have been able to help each other in that area. We'll talk about how accountability is the missing ingredient in the success of achieving your goals. And then we'll also talk about what that's going to look like in practice. And then we'll close up with a little bit of Q&A for everyone out there who has participated here tonight. But just want to start with a little analogy here. And
you had to put the Tesla.
I had to put the Tesla on here. So I got a Tesla.
So you got a Tesla. Why couldn't I put the Escalade on there? Why you put the F-150? You don't even ask me about like.
No.
Okay.
Who put the slides together?
All right, whatever.
Yeah. Anyway, so I have two pictures here. These are two vehicles that I absolutely love. I love Ford F-150s. Love it. I'm a Tesla fan. I might take some flack for that, but I love a Tesla. And listen, both of these cars, phenomenal. And I'm going to create an analogy for you here. Goals without accountability are the equivalent to an F-150 and a Tesla. An F-150 without gasoline and a Tesla without your battery. And this is a Tesla battery.
I know, but see what the thing is, you just haven't realized there's still a lot of gasoline and stuff that gets burnt just to create that battery.
I know. I'm not trying to get a discussion about gasoline versus electric.
I'm just saying you're talking to the wrong audience.
But ultimately, what we want to drive home here is that if you don't have accountability, you can have this great vehicle, but if you don't have gas to run it, you're not going anywhere.
Yeah.
So you have to have that accountability in order for you to meet your goal. So what exactly is accountability? So this is pulled from, I believe, the Merriam-Webster dictionary. And thanks, Captain Obvious. The quality or state of being accountable, that doesn't break it down at all. So let's dig a bit deeper. Let's look at the second definition. It's an obligation or willingness to accept responsibility or to account for one's actions.
So we could probably stop here and talk about that a little bit. Like,
yes,
that is hands down the most important one. All right. If you're not willing to take a deep look at yourself and draw some conclusions and, be willing to do what's hard, right? And it's make changes, whether it's personally, whether it's in your work life or in a relationship. Like, change doesn't just happen overnight, and it doesn't happen on its own. It really starts with that whole self-reflection. So another example I can give, when I started my real estate business, I knew what I wanted to do, right? I thought I had a plan on how to get there. I set goals, but I wasn't achieving, the results that I desired. And I could have very easily just said, I can blame it on this or I can blame it on that. But what I really had to do was sit down and take a good, close look at myself and said, are you following, Nate Lambert's plan that he put in place for you? Are you making the number of cold calls that you're supposed to be making a day, which I absolutely hated, but needed to be done. So my answer was no. Right. So I had to accept responsibility for that. And that is number one, hands down, like the hardest thing to do sometimes for people, but it's the most important, especially if you want to implement change.
Yep. And many of you know who are in the audience, and some of you may not know, but Edmund and I used to teach together. We were co-teachers. I taught English. Edmund was our special education teacher in the classroom to support our students. And something that we always did when we taught is we broke down definitions of words for kids because we felt that was important to do. And that's something that's valuable for everybody. So what we're going to do here is we're breaking this definition down because words like obligation, responsibility, account. Let's make sure that we truly understand what they mean before moving on here. So when we talk about an obligation, we're talking about a commitment, something that we are committed to, that we are going to make happen. All right. So an obligation or willingness to accept responsibility. So when we talk about responsibility, we're talking about being answerable for something within our control, something that we're setting out to do and taking ownership, not pushing the blame on someone else.
So you'll get a lot of that. It happens a lot with life to where someone does not want to accept responsibility or take ownership. One of another important piece of this is taking ownership, right? The amount of growth that you'll see at a much faster pace is through taking ownership.
Yeah.
So
yeah. And I can tell you
it's not easy to do sometimes.
No, it's not, because you have to be willing to say, I screwed up. I was lazy. I didn't do it.
I mean, for men out there, think about how hard it is to go to your wife and say, I was wrong, honey. Actually, it's actually the other way around, I think. But Just teasing. But it's, it's not easy to do, right?
Yeah.
For anyone.
But if you're going to grow, you have to be able to do that. Yes. And so then the final piece of this definition here, to account. What does it mean to account for one's action? That means to answer concerning your behavior, your conduct, your duties. So if you don't do something, you got to be able to answer for that, own that, not make excuses for it, but to say, yeah, hey, Edmund, I know I was supposed to post 5 times this week for courage pays better than fear, but I don't have a good excuse for you, man. I let you down.
Yeah.
You have to have that level of transparency, because that pain associated with that, me letting him down as a business partner, if I'm not doing that, he's going to give me an earful, number one. Number two, the following week when we meet, like, I don't want to come back to him and say, hey, I didn't do it again.
I did it again.
Yeah. So, but you have to have that vulnerability, that transparency, that willingness to say, yeah, I screwed up.
I mean, we literally, so Replace Your University, the leadership team just got together today. And we spent 8 hours going through like our goals and our vision for 2023, right? And it's a process. And we literally go through very similar, this same process where we create what we call boulders, which are big action items we need to take. And we review them weekly just to make sure that we are either on or off pace. And it's an excellent way to keep us honest. And at the end of the day, we are accountable for whether or not we met those goals.
Yeah. Awesome. So when we put it all together, we break down that definition, we have those meanings of those words, we put it all together. Here's what accountability is. It's taking ownership of what you have committed to. So when we talk about goal setting, those goals that you have for yourself that are going to drive your behaviors every day, taking ownership for everything you do to accomplish them or that you don't do in your life, through your actions, and fully accepting and embracing the consequences when you do not.
And I mean, that's hard, right? And a lot of times we'll lie to ourselves, about whatever reason why we didn't achieve a goal, or we haven't been following it the way that we said that we were going to. And another example would be, like, we said we're going to do 10,000 kettlebell swings. Well, this week we already missed Monday, Tuesday. Tomorrow's Wednesday. All right, so we missed Monday too. So
we got to get it in.
We got to get it in, right? So we got a lot of kettlebell swings.
We'll get it in.
I know we're going to.
We're going to get it in.
But the thing is like, sometimes like this becomes a habit, right? And embracing the consequences becomes part of it. In fact, we talked about Tony Robbins. We talk about Tony Robbins a lot, and he talks about linking your brain with either pain or pleasure. And a lot of times when we achieve our goals, there's an overwhelming sense of pleasure. But what we try to do sometimes is, when we don't achieve them and we don't embrace the consequences, we try to blow that off sometimes. Now, not when you have an accountability partner. So for example, Jeremy, not too long ago, something happened with his trading plan. He didn't stick to his trading plan. And, we were following one of the steps Jeremy Newsom talks about a lot is, hey, what's the consequence going to be? Yeah. What's the pain going to be? And he didn't want to do it. And I kept reminding him every day, bro, you need to stick to, the consequences of what happened. You didn't stick to your trading plan. So what's it going to be?
And that was to wax my entire body.
And I had absolutely nothing to do with any of it. But just to sit here and remind him.
Sucked. That was awful.
Yeah, just to sit here and remind him, like, bro, I got hair on your arms. Like, your eyebrows are still here.
It's still not growing back right.
You're lucky it make you do your eyebrows.
Nah, no. But it's having those consequences. And that's what, when you have those consequences in place and you hold yourself accountable, that's what builds that persistence to say, no, I have to do this. I'm not waxing myself again. I'm going to do this. And it develops your decision-making muscles. And, that's important. And when you talk about how accountability can change your life, it changes your life in so many different ways, but there are 5 things that we really wanted to focus on here. Number 1, it's going to make you take action. When you're accountable, and that you're going to have to answer to yourself. And that's, again, self-accountability is number 1, but that peer accountability is just as strong. When you have to answer for it, you're going to take the action
Yeah.
because you don't want the pain that's associated with that. You will accomplish your goals if you know that you have to sit down with your accountability partner once a week.
Yeah,
once
a week.
Yeah, like we just did, and you're going to get called out, and we just documented. So the next time we meet, if these certain things aren't done, we basically told each other,
you gotta
let it rip.
Yep.
Let it rip.
I mean, last week I made some pretty, it's not always easy to be honest with your accountability partner, but you just got to take the emotion out of it. You have to stop worrying about hurting the other person's feelings. And you just need to let them have it sometimes. But look, man, you said you were going to do this, 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 and this, and it hasn't been done.
Yeah.
And he did that for me. I did that for him. And I think we both left here like, okay, I really have some decisions I got to make, right? Because this can't happen again next week. I can tell you, without an accountability partner, not only for myself, but having a peer accountability partner, the longest I'd probably ever worked out was maybe 90 days. And, I finally committed to, physical fitness being part of my life. And Jeremy has been a huge part of that and been my accountability partner in that. If I didn't have him right now and we weren't doing this, I always stop working out around the holidays and say, oh, I'm just going to save it for January. I'll start in January. And then January, February comes. I'm not doing it. It's winter. Who cares? I'm not going out anywhere. And then next thing you know, spring's here and you're busting your butt and it makes no difference. Right. So, we started this back in August and we're still going strong.
Right.
And it's because, I'm telling you, without a doubt, it's because of the accountability piece.
Right. The other thing that it empowers you to be able to do is you can course correct. And what do we mean by that? Well, when you're reflecting on your goals, whether or not you've taken the actions to get there, and whether you're doing that yourself or with a partner, you can say, okay, well, here's where I took a misstep. Or if you're talking with your accountability partner, well, hey, did you think about this? And you're able to adjust your path so that you can make sure that you're accomplishing your goals. So it helps you have that self-evaluation piece, which is so important. And then number 4, I think, is probably one of the most important. And
trust and accountability.
Yeah. When you build, and again, and we're going to get to a slide here where we look at self-accountability and peer accountability. But when you're accountable, you build trust and accountability, not just with others, which is tremendously important,
but with yourself.
And that, my dear friends, is so powerful. When you say something and you do it, the sense of accomplishment and believing like you can do anything, it's powerful.
Yeah, I mean, it's worth its weight in gold when you can tell yourself in your mind that I'm going to accomplish it. And that's why we always talk about in goal setting. If you have a problem with setting goals, like, start small, right? We start small and then we start to slowly build them up, because what you're doing is just training your brain for that sense of accomplishment. And then your brain releases that dopamine feeling like, oh, that felt good. That was awesome, right? You did do it. You said you were going to do this and you did it. And then it just progressively gets, the goals typically get harder and harder and harder, but the feeling that you get when you accomplish them, that's why, like, he sets these crazy goals of running, what's the running goal you're doing next month?
Calendar Club, which would be, I'm going to run the number of miles equivalent to the day. So January 1st, 1 mile, January 5th, 5 miles, January 31st, 31 miles.
Yeah. So, I mean, that's that. You want to talk about a sense of, reward at the end of that. Once you're done doing that, like, you feel like you can accomplish the world, right? And then that's when you start to say, okay, like, I've trained my brain on how good this feels when we set goals and accomplishing them. What do I want to do in business? What do I want to do, with my life? What do I want to do physically? What do I want to do personally? Like, there's just nothing that you can't do at that point.
Right.
But it all starts with setting goals, setting the right goals, holding yourself accountable, and it will build trust and credibility, not only with others, but yourself.
Yep. And then the final piece we want to talk about is you're going to strengthen your decision-making muscles, because a lot of time we procrastinate, or we keep putting something off for whatever reason. And not to say that your reasons aren't good, but when you have accountability, you have to take that step. You have to decide. And when you decide over and over and over and you take action, it's just like a muscle. If you don't exercise your decision-making muscle, just like your body will become weak and unhealthy, the same thing will happen to your decision-making muscle. So These are really 5 things that come out of accountability that can change your life. So now we've talked about self accountability versus peer accountability. Both are very important. The self piece is critical because at the end of the day, you spend more time with yourself than with anybody else.
Yeah.
But that peer piece is super important.
Because you can, I mean, you can lie to yourself, right? There's no real, I mean, you're not going to feel good about it, right? But there's no real accountability of someone else out there. That's why the peer, accountability partner is so important, because they can call you out on the nonsense. And sometimes you end up just making up these excuses, and you don't even realize you're making up excuses, but that other person can see something that you might not be seeing at that time and can quickly call you out on it so you can course correct.
Yep. Absolutely. 100%. Let's take a look at these 2 quickly. And we really hit on a lot of this stuff earlier in the webinar, but self-accountability is most important. It's strengthened and developed by making decisions, and you have to test it and exercise it daily. You have to make it part of your routine. So just like you exercise or you meditate or you pray or whatever it is that you do to take care of yourself, you have to exercise your accountability every day. You have to. Then that peer piece, it helps strengthen your personal habits because you have someone else that's going to hold you accountable for that. But it also creates a sense of community around your goals. Like I know when Edmund does something and I know he's working on something and he hits a target, I'm just as excited for him as he's excited. And it's like you share in those successes.
Yeah. And that's important when you're looking for a peer partner, because you're naturally going to have people that don't want you to accomplish your goals.
Yeah.
Sometimes that could be a spouse. It could be a friend that you thought was a really good friend of yours. You're going to have people out there that are just like, you know what, I really don't want that, because they're afraid of change, right? They're afraid that you sometimes you might get to a point to where you're doing so well that person becomes insignificant to them, right? Mm-hmm. So there's a lot of fear that goes on with that as well.
Right.
An example that I can give with the accountability piece is mentors, right? People ask me all the time, like, Edmund, why did you pay thousands and thousands of dollars to get involved in real estate and have a mentor? And because that I knew that was going to give me the accountability piece that I was missing, right? That I needed. And same thing with, replace your mortgage, right? Like you get into these groups and you get into these programs for the accountability piece, right? For the to have that extra layer of help that is needed sometimes. Now, sometimes you get into these and you're not getting the one-on-one attention that you may have thought you were going to get, or, that you just expected was naturally going to happen. But that's why we're teaching you how to do this on your own, so you can find that accountability partner that could be in your own home, right?
Yeah. And then 2, like we talked about before, your peer accountability gives you a different perspective, something that you can't see for yourself, and that's invaluable feedback. And then something we wanted to talk about, look at these 2 clowns here on the screen.
Well, we need to change our wardrobe. All we got on here is replace your employer all the time.
And like our color scheme is black and white.
Yeah, looks good.
It is what it is.
Keep it simple.
That's what it is. But we wanted to talk about our weekly accountability meeting, and we hinted to that. But when back in November, we went out to Deep Creek, Maryland, and we literally spent a good 8 hours of doing a goal setting workshop where we went through, we reflected, we evaluated areas of our life, we rated them, and then from there we wrote our goals. And now that those goals have been written, what we're doing is we're sitting down and talking about, all right,
every Friday,
let's talk to me about your progress here. Okay, well, why haven't you done this? Mm-hmm. Great job with this. And it's powerful.
Yeah, no, it was I think that was the one component that we realized when we were sitting down creating our goals for 2023. We said, let's take a look back at our past and let's talk about some of the goals that we set and why didn't we achieve them. And it literally came down at almost every single time to, one, they weren't well thought out goals, right? They didn't have, but the main thing was they didn't have the accountability piece. So once we kind of figured that out and we realized like how well it was working, that's where we kind of came to the conclusion, like, all right, we got to share this. This is really working well.
Yeah. And it's something that, I'm looking forward to.
Yeah.
And it's really, I can't wait to see next November when we go back to Deep Creek to review everything, how far we've come. So this is something that we would recommend, suggest, find that partner or that person in your life that will hold you accountable, that will do these things with you. It's a game changer.
Absolutely.
Yep. All right. So getting ready to close up here, but what does accountability look like in practice? So whenever you say something, you do it. Or here's a caveat, don't say it at all. If you say it, do it. If you're not going to do it, don't even say it. Keep it to yourself. Accountability means frequently checking in on your progress, either with yourself or with your partner, to determine your progress or your lack of progress. Taking ownership of what you say and what you do, and being open to that feedback from yourself. Like, if you're not giving 100%, listen to that voice. Don't deny it. Listen to it. And if you sucked during the week, you sucked.
It is what it is.
And if your partner tells you suck, yeah, it might hurt your feelings, but it is what it is.
It's something you need to hear. So when would someone like course correct, or not course correct, or determine like whether or not like that's an achievable goal? Like let's say they set a goal, they keep failing at it, or they're not consistently getting results. I mean, is it okay at just any point in time to change it?
I think you have to look at your strategy, because anything's possible within reason. If you're 5'4" and you're 60 years old, you're not going to slam dunk a basketball. It's just physically impossible. But the whole world is open to all of us. If you're not getting the results that you want, what we mean by course correct, it's looking at your strategies. And Tony Robbins talks about constantly changing your strategy until you get the results you want. Because there's a part of one of his books, and I can't remember it off the top of my head. He's like, well, tell me, what you've done to accomplish this goal. Well, I've done everything that I possibly could. And he's like, well, really? So have you done this? Have you done this? Have you done this? Have you done this? No, there are infinite things that you could do. So you have to look at your strategies. If one strategy doesn't work, guess what? Try another. If that one doesn't work, guess what? Try another. If that one doesn't work, guess what? Try another and another and another. And that's where that persistence, perseverance will push you through to accomplishing that goal. It's not easy. The things that are the most spectacular or that are most fulfilling in life, they don't come easy. Trading is not easy. It's not,
real estate's not easy. Owning your own business is not easy, right? You're going to run into problems. There's going to be those moments where you're just like, man, like what in the world is going on? Like stuff's not working. You got to analyze, and come back and set goals.
Yeah. And the main thing is you don't give up. You don't quit. When it gets hard, then you get stronger. You can do it. You just have to stay at it. Stay the course.
And so just one last thing before we do Q&A. Kids, for those of you who have kids out there, it is so important to start goal setting with your kids as soon as possible. Like I can 100%. Tell you right now, for those of you kind of follow along and see me online, like the Titanic, right? That was a 10,000 piece Titanic that a 21 plus, an adult would be putting together. It was a Lego set. And I had my 7-year-old over the summer. We literally had the conversation, like he loves Titanic. We went out for his birthday, bought him the 10,000 piece Titanic and said, you can do this. And he's looking at it and he notices the box that it says 21 plus. I'm 7 years old. And I'm like, it doesn't matter. You can do this. We have to set a goal. We have to set the time frame. I'm going to be your accountability partner. We're going to check in and we're going to course correct throughout the entire summer. And let me tell you, my son killed it. Absolutely killed it. Put that 10,000 piece Lego set together, right? It'd be cool if we had a picture of it up here. Yeah. But put this 10,000 piece Lego set together in the summer that he said he was going to do it. It came down to crunch time and he had about, 20 bags left of Legos that he had to put together, and he had about 10 days. We literally mapped it out backwards from the end of summer to how many bags he had left to how many bags he had to do a day. And once we broke it down like that, broke the goal down like that, it became achievable. But when he's sitting there staring at all 20 bags in the corner, like there's no way I can get all these together and I can do this. And then I'm as his accountability partner, his father, and I'm telling him, you can do this, right? What we got to do, how many bags what's the most amount of bags you've done in a day? 3, Daddy. I've done 3. I'm like, okay, well, we got 20 left. There's 10 days. We break it down, right? You do 2 bags a day and you're consistent at it. We set this time aside for you to do it. You'll get the goal done. I can't tell you the amount of the happiness that boy faced when he completed that Titanic. It was so well worth it. You know what he's talking to me about now? Daddy, I want to set another goal. That felt good, right? At 7 years old, Daddy, I want to set another goal, right? And I know he does it with his kids. I do it with mine. I know many of you are doing it out there with yours, but you know, we did it with our kids in the classroom, right? We set milestones, we set goals for kids to like a class score, right? So we had a test or a quiz coming up. We literally said, okay, class, as a team, we're going to get this score on this test or quiz. And we charted it and we mapped it out literally for every test, every quiz. And all you saw was success for the most part, continuously go up every single time.
Yeah. And what questions do you have for us? If you don't have any questions, we'll move on to the final part here of the webinar. Again, you can always reach out to us. I do want to bring up here the YouTube channel. It's at Courage Pays Better Than Fear. We want to thank all of you who have subscribed so far, who have liked, who've shared with your family and friends. Your support really does mean a lot to us. Your comments, we read them all. We respond to them all. And again, we are just starting this journey with Courage Pays Better Than Fear. We're not going anywhere.
No, we're here. We're here to stay. We're here to, like I said, this is something like Jeremy and I have always, wanted to do something together. As far as like, self-development, just helping people in general. So we're here to stay. We're looking to get maybe a cohort together of 10, 12 individuals that we can personally help if that's something that people are interested in. But yeah, we're in it to win it.
Yep. And we want to thank everybody for joining us here tonight. There will be a recording, and maybe some of you are watching the recording on our YouTube channel. But again, we appreciate you so much. I just said yins. That's my Pittsburghese coming out.
Yins. But the other thing is, bro, it's December 20th, Christmas in 5 days.
5 days, yeah.
So Christmas is here, man. We got 5 days till Christmas. We want to, wish everybody a very Merry Christmas, a Happy New Year. And we are here. You have any questions, anything that we can do to help out, we would, we're happy to help.
All right, everybody, you take care. Thanks so much for your support. Make sure you check out episode number 12 of Courage Pays Better Than Fear, and we will see you again soon. Thanks so much.